Hello and welcome to another episode of How Do You Do That? What? How do you do that? Well, today we're going to be talking about subtracting unlike fractions. And, well, how do you do that? But more importantly, we're taking it a step further. In the last episode, we all saw that we can take unlike fractions and turn them into common denominators to subtract or add. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to take a problem and go through the problem-solving process to help us with this. Our problem is this today. Whoops, let me bring that down. George ate 3/8 of a pizza. Raphael ate 5/12 of a same-size pizza. Who ate more and how much more did he eat? Well, problem-solving step number one is going to be read and visualize without numbers. A way for me to visualize is kind of draw some pictures. So bear with me for a minute, but here we go. First we have George. George is coming around, and George wants to eat a slice of pizza. And on his pizza, he ate 3/8. And then he has Raphael. And Raphael's coming over. And Raphael's eating a slice of pizza. That is 5/12. And that's the first step of our problem, is just to get an idea of what's happening. George is coming over, eating 3/8, and Raphael is eating 5/12. And just like anything, I'm going to make sure I label this so I have a better idea of what I'm actually talking about. So that's the first step, is read and visualize. The second step is to rewrite the question as a form of an answer. So really, what is the question asking? Well, first there are two questions. Question number one, who ate more? And question number two, how much more did he eat? So we need to rewrite that as a statement. And one way to do that is to say, blank ate blank more pizza than blank. And the idea is that we have to fill in those blanks. So first of all, it's going to be a statement along the lines of Raphael or George ate a fractional amount of more pizza than the other person. So that's what we need to do there, and that's how we're going to answer that question. So that was rewrite the question as an answer. Number three, identify important information. So we're going back to the problem. And what is the important information? Well, the important information in this problem we have two very important pieces, and that's that George ate 3/8 of a pizza and Raphael ate 5/12 of a pizza. The one piece of information that most people won't recognize right away, though, is that the reason why we can turn these into fractions that are equivalent is because it's the same size pizza. If the pizzas were different sizes, this wouldn't work. But because the pizzas are the same sizes, that means the whole is the same. Therefore, we can turn these into equivalent fractions. Next is choose a strategy. Well, because last time we used numbers to come up with equivalent fractions that we could then use, that's what we're going to use again today. So the strategy I'm going to use is using equivalent fractions to therefore solve this problem. So first, what we have to do is say 3/8 becomes what fraction, and 5/12 becomes what fraction? Well, we have to find common denominators. So we need to find a denominator that we need to find a multiple that both 8 and 12 have in common. One way to do that is to list the multiples of 8 and 12. So we could go 8, 16, 24. I think I already see one, because I know 12 times 1 is 12, and 12 times 2 is 24. Therefore, we can turn these into fractional parts that have 24ths in them. So, again, I'm going to go back and label my work. In the original problem, George had 3/8 of a pizza. Raphael had 5/12. Now, I'm going to say, well, 8ths can become 24ths, and 12ths can become 24ths. What do we do now? Well, 8 times what number is going to give me 24? And as you mathematicians all know out there, just like we know here, it should be 8 times 3 will give you 24. And that means that if the denominator is multiplied by 3, then we know that the numerator is multiplied by 3 as well. And 3 times 3 becomes 9. So 3/8 is then converted into 9/24. Let's go over to Raphael. Raphael starts with 5/12, but we know that 12 times 2 will give us 24. That means that we have to multiply the numerator by 2, which will give us 10. 5 times 2 is 10. So now our new problem is how much more pizza did one of them eat? Well, we have to find the larger amount first. We cannot subtract the larger from the smaller. So we know that Raphael ate 10/24, which is more pizza. So we need to now rewrite this again as an equation. So what I can say is that 10/24, which is Raphael, subtracted 9/24, which is George, leaves us how many 24ths? Well, to do that, all we do is subtract fractions. 10 minus 9, so that turns into 1/24. So now let's go back to our original question. George ate 3/8 of a pizza. Raphael ate 5/12 of a pizza, same size pizza. Who ate more? Well, we know that Raphael ate more. So Raphael ate, and then we go back to our equation. He ate 1/24 more pizza than George. So now we've labeled our work. We created an equation and an equation to solve the problem, and now we answer the question. Now I need to go back and say, well, does that make sense? Well, 3/8 is almost 1/2. 5/12 is almost 1/2. So it does make sense that they were so close that they could come up with such a small slice as 1/24. And that is how you can take the problem-solving strategy steps through answering a real-world problem. Thank you very much for tuning in to How Do You Do That? And I hope you have a great day.